I think we're just going to move now onto sort of legal setup and finances. This I think is applicable if you are saying, look, we probably need to set up something that is a movement for recovery, so that it can bring the network and networks together. So Ian, can I go back to you just for a few minutes and just talk us through some of the legal setup that may be appropriate?
Yeah, sure. We'll just again show some slides for this, which I hope will be helpful to you just in making the right decision about this. This all sort of really comes out of the conversation, the big conversation that we had with Andy Burnham last year in the course of the first sort of element of the COVID emergency, where it became clear that in order for us to proceed, we needed to have a sort of separate engagement vehicle, which could be the point of contact in terms of any intelligence that I was talking about earlier, and then possibly be also the sort of delivery vehicle in terms of a conduit to delivery within the boroughs. So looking at the screen in terms of the particular setup that we thought about, I don't know whether we can see the next slide. We had to make a decision really as to how we were going to form ourselves. So we had three choices really. And we'll show all three choices on the screen. So A, B, and C on the screen, please. Okay, that's okay. So the first one would be that we'd host this as a separate project within an existing charity. That would be good because obviously it would give us speed, we'd have our own identity, and we'd have light touch governance. That's the one that we've chosen for this particular moment. But there are other models that you can look at. So you could actually be administered by an existing infrastructure charity. So again, you've got speed and you've got light touch governance, but there's a question mark about identity as movement for recovery because you're using an already existing infrastructure charity. Or alternatively, you could establish a separate charity. The problem with that, as you know, is speed, and it isn't light touch governance, although you would get your own identity. When we've been thinking about this, we do believe actually that although we've plumped for A in Greater Manchester, and we host this within Greater Manchester Churches Together as an existing charity, we're probably likely to move towards C and ultimately have a separate charity, Greater Manchester Movement for Recovery. But obviously we can have A in the meantime. So the point I'm going to come to, I suppose, is that when you come to your particular situation and you think about how you're going to engage and then how you're going to organize the delivery, how you're going to receive funds, how you're going to be able to have commissions, then you really need to be a legal entity. Which one are you going to choose? You'll see which one we've gone for. We've gone for A, just for speed, identity and governance purposes, but it's no problem in you going for B or then going to C. I'm just going to show you the structure that we've got within Greater Manchester just as a way of indicating it to you. So in the red box, we have the trustees of Greater Manchester Churches Together, and we've now put two of our own trustees into that section. We've then got a steering group, which includes the two trustees and three others. We've got a yellow coordinator, and we've got some of the members of an enabling team that essentially are the ones that are gathering the intelligence from the boroughs and also the intelligence from the civic authorities. We then, because in Greater Manchester we have 10 boroughs, we have some borough connectors who then are giving us the complete lowdown when it comes to what's happening within their boroughs. So our structure now has got all of this connected, but with very light touch governance, with its own identity, movement for recovery, but able to sort of proceed now. And what we're looking at, just so that you're aware of this, is that as well as having sort of commissions and contracts from our local authorities, which will of course go directly to the people who are sort of delivering within the boroughs, we're also expecting there to be some national funding. I don't know if you're aware of this, but obviously Danny Kruger has written a report recently about the work of communities for the government. He's a backbench MP within the government. And there's also a report that's coming from Colin Bloom the Faith Engagement Advisor, which indicates that in reality, the church and other faiths are actually involved in a significant amount of social action in the country, and they should be given some recompense for doing so. There should be some funding towards it. And so what we're expecting is that once the national recovery strategy is written and formulated, there is the prospect of there being some national funding being possible to draw down. And so you need to be in a legal place to be able to receive it. You see what I mean? So that's why, as well as having what you might call our normal engagement with our civic authorities and just doing it voluntarily, why not at this particular time get yourself set up legally so that you can be commissioned, you can receive funding, and you can deliver that engagement and that delivery within your city and within your town. There's going to be some need for some finance, of course, for that to be the case. And one of the things that we are aware of within Greater Manchester is we need to be able to fund a coordinator and probably also fund some administration. But we actually think those are pretty much the only things that we're going to have to really engage with financially, to either have a part-time or full-time coordinator and to pay for a little bit of administration and financial support. But you have to bear in mind that it may be costing you some money to set this vehicle up.
Great, thanks, Ian. Well, that gives you an overview of what's happening in Manchester. That will be applicable for some of you. Perhaps for others of you, you've already got that as a structure already, which is okay. But I suppose that a bit of the game changer really is as Ian has said, is providing a conduit really, perhaps for funding outside.